Was Jesus a real figure, or is he a sort of amalgam of personal ideals that we should all aspire to? The Christ within, pure consciousness, pure love. Well, no one will ever really know, but one thing we know for sure is that Jesus Christ definitely would have been really interested in whether or not you have sex with people with a willy or a vagina. Here's some Trews.
People have pushed us very hard in recent times to choose between loving same-sex attracted people and loving real marriage. I've said we shouldn't have to choose.
This is of course the story that Catholic Archbishop in Australia has said the government should stay out of the bedroom as he urges a no vote on same-sex marriage. Of course, some people will argue that religion should stay out of the bedroom. In fact, and then more people still would probably argue that everyone should stay out of the bedroom as long as consent. I heard a man who's an expert on on law around sadomasochism saying that the issue is always the same: consent, consent, consent. If people are consenting for things, then you're cool. Who can't consent? Animals, children, mentally ill people. Everyone else can consent. If it's sort of consensual, it's no one else's business. Everything else is just taste, isn't it? Like, I like men, alright. I like women, alright. So that shouldn't really raise any more interest than that. And if it does, it means you're dealing with your own particular friction and tensions. And I suppose the reason that historically the church is interested in sexuality is because sexuality is a potent energy that is difficult to control, and the church's role, I suppose, has become about the management of these urges and drives. Now, when it sort of comes to the management of violence, that other great potent force within human beings, then it's nice to have some theoretical guidance, and indeed around sexuality. You don't want your life to be completely governed by your sexual behaviours. But on matters of taste, between consenting adults, is no one's bloody business. And frankly, I feel like, and I've got no problem with anybody's religious persuasions, the same way as I don't think religious people should have a view on people's sexual persuasions, but it does seem absurd to see a man in that hat, by that gold candlestick, talking about what he reckons Jesus would think. I mean, what's that got to do with anything? Like, if you try to distill it down for a moment, what was Jesus Christ saying? He was saying, look after one another, don't get caught up in illusion, find the divine love within yourself and operate on that level. If you thought that people were going to run with that and come up with the point of, we shouldn't have any bumming, like, go, well, hold on a minute, I'm not really interested in that. No, come on, I've got a cat on.
It's okay to say no to redefining marriage. We can continue to support laws and customs that honour man and wife becoming one flesh, while also respecting and caring for all. That was Christ's way.
It's the same thing that old Moggles says, isn't it, in our country?
What are your views on same-sex marriage?
Marriage is a sacrament, and the decision of what is a sacrament lies with the church, not with Parliament.
The day before I got married, the feelings I felt were very, very powerful. So those rituals and the idea of making a vow, making an oath and bonding and exchanging rings and all that sort of stuff, there is real value in it and there is real power. But that power shouldn't be used to anoint and elevate certain sections of society or certain persuasions and taste. Should be used to recognise that love is so powerful it surmounts the physical world. When you get married to another person, you're saying, I love this person so much that I'm going to ignore the fact that I'm sort of a free physical entity and make a commitment that I carry with me at all times. So if I find myself on my own wandering about and someone goes, hello sailor, I might go, well, the hell with this then? You know what I mean? I'm married all of the time. Shouldn't be about making, like, don't get into the admin of it. The admin's not interesting. The ritual is what's interesting.
Sadly, the ideologues paint religious believers as homophobes and try to shut us out of the debates for the soul of our culture and the definition of crucial institutions.
It's weird, isn't it? Because he's being all serious, but he has got that hat on and he is sort of wielding a golden sceptre. So you're like, you can't be behind a pulpit with a gold stick and a golden hat on and not acknowledge that what you're doing is symbolic. You're dealing with symbols. You're not dealing with literal meaning. And even to sort of dive into the literal world so ludicrously attired exposes that the threads of all our religious institution are held together with faith and belief. Now, faith and belief are bloody important important things. These are the invisible realms that man carries with him. But as soon as it's not used in order to bring about togetherness, lack of prejudice, bigotry and judgment, and in fact to be demonstrative of love and connection, then you're pulling at the threads of your own power. That's what I feel like I'm watching there. You're watching someone pull apart the Catholic Church. You know, like when you see Pope Francis, that guy's clued in, isn't he? He's like, listen, love is the answer, be kind, don't get caught up in it. And suddenly you think, oh, Catholicism's beautiful, it's got beautiful ideas in it. Or when you see like an imam outside a mosque where there's been violence, going, no, 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 don't beat that geezer up, we're not here to judge anybody. When you see religious people behaving compassionately and lovingly, then you see the point in religion. When you see people talking prejudicially, you think religion is pointless.
If overseas experience is anything to go by, if marriage is redefined, it will be very hard to speak up for real marriage anymore, in schools, at work, socially.
Using a phrase like real marriage is a really, really toxic piece of language, and that has no place in spiritual discourse, creating layered systems of categorisation, implying that there's an inferiority to the kind of choices people make on that basis. It's something that the church shouldn't burden itself with. Like, if you're competing to exist as an institution or competing to exist as a voice in a world that needs spirituality, you should disabuse yourself of the idea that in any way you can support bigotry or be a gatekeeper to that kind of morality. It's a shame that, because I am a spiritual person. I do believe that the answer to many of the world's current problems lie in the spiritual, and I would never deny anyone the right to seek it out under the guise or within the institution of existing denominations. Like maybe Islam's your thing, maybe Catholicism or Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever, like if you're getting, but with the caveat that the point of it is connection and love. And any person in a position of religious authority that ever says anything that sounds like it's not loving, I think, oh right, that's the switch off. It's like, oh, you don't participate in the debate no more, and I hope it doesn't have too negative an impact on the rest of the institution, because yeah, the Pope seems like a cool guy. So this, I suppose what's being revealed here is the world is changing. We've got so many sort of institutions that are lacquered in the ideas of the past that people in positions of authority have an obligation to move quickly and in fact to lead, not to hang on to conservatism, not to augment bigotry, but to be a true voice in the only argument that matters, the argument of bringing about union, togetherness, oneness. That's some true news. Subscribe here if you choose to. We don't mind what you do. You can subscribe with either genital or neither, or two of the same or two different ones. We're just, in this church, all people are accepted. That's some true news.